Hi everybody, it's Kimberly Castle here to talk to you this week about Tiara Talk. This is our first installment of Tiara Talk here on IGTV. Super excited to be here to share all of this cool information with you. Many of you may or may not know I am the current Mrs. Canada Globe Classique, and I'm super excited about that. I will be stepping on stage in June to compete for the Mrs. Globe Classique title. And you know, I have been involved with the Mrs. Globe organization for 10 years now. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but it's a testament to an organization when you stay involved for that long. It obviously means that there is something amazing that's happening there, and it definitely is. And I have made incredible friends with women all over the world, the Globettes. So I'm super excited to get back on stage in June and see all the amazing ladies. So as I lead up to that pageant, there are a bunch of things that I need to get ready for and prepare. And you know, I was also the Mrs. Canada Globe National Director for about 5 years, and the ladies always would come to me with a lot of questions. And so what I've done is kind of compiled those questions. I'm gonna bring them to you with answers and help and all the things that you might need to get ready for a pageant. So this week is all about fundraising, and basically call it Fundraising 101. And the question that I always would get asked, but the delegates would ask me, is do I need sponsors? And my response to them always was, I don't know, do you? And I mean that in the terms of some women are able to actually fund their competition preparation themselves, which is awesome if they're able to do that. There are a lot of expenses that are involved with getting ready for a pageant. That includes a lot of things: dresses, gowns, travel, hair, makeup, tanning, just beauty preparation in general. You might be wanting to hire a pageant coach to help you with your walk and prepare for questions on stage. So there's a lot of different things that that might be of an expense to you. So, you know, my question really comes down to, I don't know, do you need sponsors? How do you plan on covering your expenses? There are obviously ways that you can do that. One is paying out of pocket. Two, you might have some amazing friends and family who are willing to help you or able to help you. Three, donations. 4, fundraising events, and 5, sponsors. So there's a lot of different options, and maybe a combination of all of those items are what you need to do. So what are your costs? There's typically an entry fee that you need to pay, and that's how they pay for the pageant. That's how they pay to put it on. So and not to mention, you know, with the Mrs. Globe organization, your whole week is covered. Your whole week that you're at the pageant is paid for. Your hotel and your food and all of your entertainment and the exciting events you get to participate in are all covered, but that's part of your entry fee. What's not covered is usually travel. So your flight to the event, wherever that might be, or maybe you can drive if it's close enough. And then, as I mentioned, all clothing, you're gonna need dresses and shoes and swimwear. Some of it you might have already, but there are probably things that you may need to purchase. Hair, makeup, tanning, lashes. You might want photos to make sure you're capturing yourself in that beauty for the event. As I mentioned, a pageant coach, and then there are tickets to the event if you want to help pay for those or cover those for friends and family to attend and cheer you on. And I'm sure there are other expenses that I haven't even thought of or haven't added to this list. So why do you need to fundraise? And as I mentioned, it's really to cover those miscellaneous fees. So cover your entry fee, cover any additional costs, and then the other third thing that I always add into that is raising money for the charity that I'm supporting. And in this case, it's the WIN Foundation, the Women in Need Foundation. And so oftentimes I will hold a fundraiser where a portion of those funds go directly to the charity, and then a portion of those funds go towards helping me cover my costs. It's basically a win-win, and we're supporting the charity at the same time. So how do you hold a fundraiser? The big question is, what type of event do you want to hold? And who Who would you like to attend your event? What's the audience? Who are your supporters? Who are the people that want to be there to support you? Those are all things you should really consider. Think about the budget for your event. So even though you're holding a fundraiser, there are going to be costs associated with that, and I can talk to you a little bit about that. As an example, if you're going to hold like a bowling event as a fundraiser, you might have to pay lane fees or shoe fees as part of that, and then you'd want your funds that you're raising to help cover the costs. So you need to consider that. And I've got a cool budget sheet that I use to put together to figure out what the costs for my pageant and all of that are going to cost, and then figure out basically what do I need to do in terms of raising money for a charity. And then also, who is willing to help me? Who's going to help me for that event? You'd be amazed what your friends and family do. My friends and family have always been super supportive and always there to help, you know, run events. And, you know, when I was running the Mrs. Canada Globe pageant in Canada, my friends and my family were always super supportive in there. And then I had an amazing event coordinator, architect, guru. She was awesome, Lisa Peters, and she always helped me make sure I had the most kick-ass event in the city that year. So you could even think of hiring somebody to help you organize it that way as well. Okay, so what are some of the successful fundraisers that I've done? A bowl-a-thon, as I mentioned, that's a big one that is super fun. It gets a lot of people involved. You can have teams, and bowling is always a cool and fairly inexpensive activity, so your costs wouldn't be super high. You could do a charity walk or run, maybe a fashion show or a gala. One of our delegates who won our first year that we held it had a huge gala, and she raised like $40,000 for the charity that year. So it's amazing. You can really do some big things. Write a book. I actually wrote a book called The Pretty Fit Lifestyle. And what I did was all of the funds that I raised in terms of selling that book, I donated directly to the WIN Foundation. And so that's another cool way to make money and get funds for your charity. Or you can also talk about a GoFundMe page. Sometimes those are good options. I find GoFundMe's, while it seems like an easy way to get money, it's always, it's kind of an iffy thing. What I find, not everybody's willing to just give you money in that way. I think it's more exciting and people are more willing to give when they get to be involved in helping you raise that money. Meaning, if there's a cool event they get to attend, they're paying a ticket, they're getting something in return. So I will share all of these cool ideas. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I will share, and I'll give you the link so that you can go and download it with all of the details. It has the link to my spreadsheet that I use to figure out how much money I'm gonna need and how much it's gonna cost me to participate in my pageant. So I'll do that, I'll share that with you. And lastly, I also have some other resources in terms of links that you can look at for raising funds and resources. So what are your next steps? Work out your budget, choose a fundraiser, and then just get busy. So thanks for joining, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next week on Tiara Talk.